Hey guys, good morning. Listen, as I was in my word, the Lord impressed upon me something that I needed to share with you all. And I'm going to tell you that this word is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. It's not a prophetic word, it's nothing like that, but just something that the Lord spoke into my heart and I'm going to share today. Now, we are here. I'm here in the United States, but there are other countries in which things are going on. The same thing happens across the board. There are countries where, there are lots of Christians who you would be considered not the minority. So you have a different race. You are in a race where you have more of a say, more of a voice than maybe those who will be considered the minority. And even if you are a part of the minority, you have enough voice and influence to make a change and a difference. However, for the sake of this message, I'll stick to what God gave to me, which is those of you're in races, you are of a race where you would not be considered minority. A lot of you are Christians. You're Christians. You are in positions of power and authority. You have access to, a lot of people in positions. Some of you are well known. Some of you are on television. Some of you are just influential in your own way. And at the very least, you have a voice. And what is happening is, and let me just speak here for the things that's going on in the U.S., with all the preachers and the pastors and the everyday just normal person, that you are not considered minority. You guys are here, and yet the question would be, how is there so much racism and hatred and acts of violence and oppression going on against those who would be considered minority? Now, there's some minority groups that is treated better than others for different reasons. There's some that experience more than the other, but nonetheless, across the board, there are things that are done that would be a way of giving limited access to, and then in some cases across the board for all the minority races, brute force if needed. And this is something that happens. It happens on camera. It happens in a public setting. It still happens in the workforce. It still happens in so many ways. How is it that there are so many pastors and preachers and just your everyday man, woman, politicians, whoever you may be, that you say that you are truly a follower of Jesus Christ, and all of these things are happening to other people and nothing is happening? I have yet to see a group of non-minority groups going and marching and standing before and going to the courts and going to stop something bad from happening to someone. There's power in numbers. But some may say, well, why aren't they fighting? Well, we know the Native Americans fought. They fought and died, and they didn't win. The Mexicans fought. They were defeated. At some point, Black people were doing peaceful marches and things like that, and they were attacked, killed, and even when they stood up and went as far as forming the Black Panther groups, they were defeated. They were killed. It was disbanded. So we can't say that minority groups have not tried, whether it's from peaceful to fighting. It didn't work. And I'm not here trying to incite violence. But what I am saying is, what God impressed upon me this morning was that there are a lot of people who are in a position that say that you are a child of God, that you do nothing. And a lot of times why that's happening, there's several reasons. That there are a lot of people who say they're Christians and love the Lord, but they are racist. Then there are other Christians who say that they love the Lord, but they don't want to get involved in things like that. There are other Christians that say they love the Lord, and they are and they just don't have an opinion either way. There are a lot who say they're Christians and they love the Lord, that just don't want to mess up what they have, their connections, the favor that they have with man. So they don't want to do anything for those who are of a minority group. But one of the biggest things that the Lord impressed upon me is that a lot of the reasons why, one of the main reasons is based on a personal prejudice, racist, biased thoughts that you have against minority groups. There's a lot of people that will not refer to the Word of God, but refer to what's been put in history books and what your great-grandfather told you and what you were taught coming up. And you somehow grew up and you became saved and you became a Christian, but you still had that same mind frame, that same mindset. But what God is saying is, you were not placed in your position of power, your position of wealth, your position of influence, just to sit back and do nothing. These minority groups have already fought and have tried. But you're in a position where you can go and you can speak and you can make changes, and you will never have to worry about getting shot for speaking. You'll never have to worry about someone coming to kill you. You will never have to worry about being choked to death because you spoke. You have the influence to make changes. There is unity in numbers. You know, when the children of Israel, back in the days in the Bible, one of the things, sometimes among the children of Israel were what they call the strangers in the land. See, the children of Israel was the majority, and the strangers and the foreigners that were within them was the minority. But what I found beautiful was that God did not allow them to treat those people badly. He actually had them to look out for them. He said, don't do that, because what he said to them was, remember that you were strangers in Egypt. You yourselves were strangers. So don't be oppressive towards the minority among you. There's a lot of people who say they're saved and they're Christians. But you turn a blind eye to the things that you see happening to humanity and to other people. And one thing Jesus did was that he stood up and he spoke up. But unlike Jesus, a lot of people don't want to be crucified. Now, you may not be nailed to a cross, but you know there are ways that it can happen. All across the world, there's racism against people because of the color of their skin, their caste, whatever, where people do nothing and turn a blind eye. And what God is saying is that you are still going to be held responsible. It's not for them to fight anymore, but for those of you that he has given power to, and given you have a little more power and authority for you to stand up and to speak up for those that are oppressed. A lot are going across the seas and going to missions. But fix those that's oppressed right in your community and in your country. We turn a blind eye to those things. It's too close to home. It's right in your backyard and you don't want to do that. You want to go over here. I'm not against anyone helping anyone across the seas, because I myself am helping people. But I don't neglect those that's here. But in these days, there's a lot of you that needs to stand up. A lot of you that's in the majority, you consider to be, you're not a minority group. But you know Jesus, you know God, you're a Christian, and you're not helping other people or coming together because you want to preserve your life. And for that, God is going to hold you responsible. Listen, get before the Lord in prayer. Listen to his voice. Hear what he has to say to you. This does not apply to all, because maybe there's some that's doing it, but it is a very small amount. All right, guys, don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe. I pray that you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.